Part 23. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 221. In the afternoon, the weather was still very good. The lazy afternoon sunshine shone into the Hope Base, giving it a sense of leisure. Even the soldiers on the defensive wall at the door seemed a little listless. At this time, 7 days had passed since Duanlei and his team returned with the survivors of the Sci-Fi base. During these 7 days, Duanlei was extremely busy. It just so happened that he also needed busy work to help himself forget the figure who fell in the Sci-Fi base. Lu Wanting was also equally busy. The next day after returning, Duanlei discussed with her and asked her to help the Hope Base design a defensive fortress to be built at the Black Dragon Bridge, because the Sci-Fi base was actually not too far from the Black Dragon Bridge. Now the Sci-Fi base has completely disappeared. Without humans there to attract the corpse tide, the corpse tide will soon leave there. Maybe at some point, the corpse tide will appear on the Black Dragon Bridge. Building a defensive fortress on the Black Dragon Bridge will be able to block the corpse tide on the other side of the bridge. In addition, Duanlei also found 3 bridge experts among the survivors of the Sci-Fi base. When they passed by, they had seen the Black Dragon Bridge. It is said that the Black Dragon Bridge can be converted into a retractable bridge deck that can be disconnected from the middle, but it requires special construction materials and equipment. According to these 3 experts, such materials and equipment can be found in Haki City. Although Haki City has long been occupied by zombies, those materials and equipment will not be damaged by zombies. Therefore, the idea they mentioned is still feasible. Since 600,000 survivors were brought back from the Sci-Fi base in Haki City, Duanlei selected nearly 20,000 special talents from them. These 3 bridge experts were found during the screening. Since the defense system of the Black Dragon Bridge was about to be put on the agenda, Duanlei gave them preferential treatment and directly gave them the status of formal members of the Hope Base. Not only them, as long as Duanlei felt that they could be used, they were given the status of formal members after a slight investigation to find that there was no bad record. Although this action surprised these people, it also caused dissatisfaction among the other survivors. People are not worried about poverty but about inequality. This is the case for many people. If everyone comes here with the same status, perhaps no one will feel dissatisfied. But now seeing those people who were originally the same as themselves, now happily moved to the Bishui community, many people began to complain. However, Duanlei ignored them. He had already planned the areas around Ganlin County and was about to send all the survivors to those areas. They didn't have any special skills, so they might as well go to farm, which could also ensure the source of food for the base. Anyway, the defense fortress on the Black Dragon Bridge was almost completed. In addition, the places planned by Duanlei this time were all far away from Jianguan town. Even the place in Wu village, which was very suitable for farming, was not chosen by Duanlei because it was a bit close to Jianguan town. In the past few days, Duanlei has begun to let the new survivors sort out the places they are about to move to, clean up, arrange the venue, and assign personnel. So Duanlei has been very busy these days. In fact, he could also leave these things to Shen Yishan and others, but Duanlei just wanted to keep himself busy, so he did it himself. Tang Haoshan and his team have not been idle during this period. They lead the Guardian Corps to sweep every day, but now their sweeping range has reached the Black Dragon Bridge, because there is no zombie here. The Guardian Corps still brings back a large number of zombie heads or strengthening liquid every day, and comes to the club to exchange points as usual. However, looking at the piles of zombie heads and strengthening liquid that fill dozens of refrigerators, Shen Yishan has a headache. Because Wang Feng is not here, the Hope Base has not exchanged strengthening potions for 2 days. Although no one has said anything yet, problems will arise sooner or later. Looking at Duanlei's condition, Shen Yishan doesn't want to remind him of this, because she knows that Duanlei must be aware of this situation, but he has been deliberately ignoring it. At this time, Duin Lei is driving a hurricane and returning from a village outside. It is almost there now. The 10,000 survivors brought there will live there today, and seeds and other things have been sent there. Tomorrow, there can be officially started. This village is named Farm Number 25 by Duin Lei. Duin Lei named these farms according to the order in which they were started. From planning to dispatching personnel and distributing seeds, Duin Lei has opened 24 officially operating farms in the past 7 days. This is the 25th farm. Each farm will have a second-level enhancer or above, with 10 soldiers from the Hope Corps, to maintain order on the farm and deal with some disputes, which is equivalent to the role of the police before the end of the world. Moreover, each farm has a walkie-talkie and can contact the base at any time. When there are emergencies such as mutant beasts, the Guardian Corps stationed in the Hope base can quickly support. Since these 600,000 evolvers entered Ganlin County, there will be at least 1,000 guards stationed at the Hope base every day, and they are ready to attack at any time. This is a measure taken by Duin Lei to prevent these people from making trouble. Tang Haoshan has been leading the team outside during this period, but Gui Wuovong has been staying in the base, and Lu Qiang is the same, guarding the Hope base. As for the newly joined evolvers, they have all been following Tang Haoshan these days. Meng Fei, Li Tianxiang, and Li Gu, the 3 evolvers, plus Chen Manman and other enhancers, and Apollo and Taishis, the happy enemies, all go out to hunt zombies every day to earn points. Hu Yahuan, the evolver, did not mix with them. When facing the mutant zombies, he did not stand up, but remained silent, because in his opinion, dealing with the mutant zombies at that time was undoubtedly a suicidal act. For him, who just wanted to survive in the end of the world, this kind of thing could not be done. Perhaps because of this, he felt that he was somewhat out of tune with other evolvers, so he took the initiative to apply for a farm to be allocated to him for him to guard. Duin Lei did not refuse Hu Yahuan's request. In fact, he knew Hu Yahuan's character. He was just similar to Lu Feng before. There is nothing wrong with saving oneself when encountering danger, but at that time, almost all the other evolvers, except Li Tianxiang who was missing at that time, stood out, and he was the only exception. After knowing the whole situation of the breakout, Tang Haoshan and others' attitude towards Hu Yahuan was obviously different from that towards Meng Fei and others, and they seemed not so close. In their opinion, those who could still stand out at that time must be treated as their own people. In fact, Hu Yahuan's performance was quite good after Duin Lei and others entered the Tianhuo base. At least, he went to Meng Fei to tell Meng Fei about Duin Lei's situation first, so that Meng Fei had a certain understanding of Wang Feng's team. Otherwise, Meng Fei might not have reached a cooperation agreement with Duin Lei so tacitly. And when Fang Cheng was about to invite Duin Lei and others to enter the Emperor building, Hu Yahuan, who knew that there was an ambush inside, stood out and stopped Duin Lei and others. No matter how much this action helped them, at least he really stood on the side of everyone in the Hope base. Perhaps in Hu Yahuan's eyes, his standing up at that time and his not standing up when facing the mutant zombies later were both the right choices he made for survival. The facts just proved this point. If he had not stood on the side of the Hope base, Hu Yahuan's fate would be the same as Lao Qian and He Ming, and he would be blown to pieces by missiles. Although he did not stand up that time, it seemed a bit of a loss, because of the appearance of Xiao Wu. The expected fierce battle did not occur, but all left the zombie tide safely and returned to the Hope base. However, even if he could know the situation in advance, it is estimated that Hu Yahuan would not deliberately stand up and pretend to be a good person. For him, he does not need to care about other people's opinions. As long as he does not hinder himself, he just wants to survive. What kind of person is what kind of person? There is no need to pretend. It's better that these people can't stand him. Anyway, it really looks safer here. Hu Yahuan simply found a farm to settle down. Even the enhancers who followed him before, Hu Yahuan has dismissed them, because none of these people have a particularly good relationship with him. As for being away from the core circle, to be honest, this is what Hu Yahuan hopes for, because in this end of the world, as a core member, although you can get more resources and grow faster, it also means that you will face more dangers. Hu Yahuan does not have such great ambitions. He hopes that Duan Lei and others will just leave him on the farm until he dies of old age. Don't call him when there is something wrong. Saying that the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility, but why doesn't the person who said this say the last sentence, the greater the danger? Hu Yahuan doesn't know that Wang Feng has that kind of magical potion, but even if he knows, Hu Yahuan probably won't be tempted. He would rather endure it slowly and earn points to exchange by himself, rather than owe anyone a favor. In fact, Hu Yahuan's character is considered good in the end times. In this era where morality and law have rotted along with the corpses of the first wave of dead humans, at least Hu Yahuan will not intentionally harm others. As long as it does not hinder his survival, he would rather have no intersection with you. He doesn't owe you anything, and you don't owe him anything. This is what Hu Yahuan really thinks. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 222. Duan Lei also knows a little about Hu Yahuan. Since he is willing to guard the farm, let him do it. At least, there is an evolver on the farm, so he can feel at ease. Although he also knows that if something really happens, Hu Yahuan will definitely not fight for the survivors who farm the land, but now there seems to be nothing in the territory of Heilong City that Hu Yahuan needs to fight for. The farm that Duan Lei gave to Hu Yahuan is the largest of the 25 farms. Because of its large area, Duan Lei also arranged a full 30,000 people for the survivors. Now there is no mechanization, all of it is manpower, and these people are not all serious farmers, many of them can't, but Duan Lei is not worried about this, because these farmlands are directly distributed in the form of contracting. When the harvest is harvested, after the seeds are collected, the base only needs to collect 30% of the total harvest as tax, and the rest will be returned to these farmers in the end of the world according to the points. Of course, they can also choose to keep the 70%. Hope Base will never forcefully purchase them. Everyone can freely distribute the fruits of their labor. In fact, 30% is not much. This also includes the corpses of zombies brought back by the Guardian Corps when they hunt zombies outside. Crops that use this as fertilizer have a short growth cycle and a large harvest. Moreover, the Agricultural Science Institute in Hope Base is still constantly developing and cultivating new plant species. Among the survivors of the original Black Wolf camp, those who were almost abandoned by Wang Feng, Shen Yishan discovered a talent named Nong Ming, who seemed to have a strange intuition about plants and was a scientific researcher before the end of the world. This guy with a name that sounds like a farmer once went directly to the clubhouse to ask the people in the clubhouse for a zombie corpse. Shen Yishan happened to meet him, so she asked him the reason. He said he had an idea and wanted to verify it. It was about the connection between the growth and mutation of plants and the flesh and blood of zombies. Shen Yishan found it very interesting, so she asked a guardian warrior to get a zombie corpse for him, and asked the guardian warrior to follow to see the result. Who knew that the two of them disappeared after they left? A week later, the guardian warrior came to Shen Yishan with 2 wheat plants, saying that this was made by Nong Ming. Shen Yishan took the wheat and was very surprised. If the guardian warrior hadn't told her, she would have thought it was corn. The 2 wheat plants in her hand really looked like corn, of course not in appearance, but in size. The wheat ears were as big as an ear of corn, and the wheat grains inside were even bigger than corn grains. Shen Yishan immediately asked the guardian warrior to find Nong Ming back, and then set up a laboratory for him, and sent several botanists found before to cooperate with this kid to study mutant plants, but Shen Yishan specifically told Nong Ming that he wanted this kind of plant that could increase yield and was edible, and other types were not needed. The willow tree that Wang Feng had left in the community was already more than 10 meters tall. No one knew its attack power because it had never been used since it was transplanted in. However, it still consumed several zombie corpses every day. Shen Yishan did not plan to keep this mutant plant that only ate but did not work. After Nongming had a laboratory, he could have whatever he wanted, whether it was seeds of various crops, flesh and blood of zombies, or even meat of mutant beasts. As long as Nongming asked for it, Shen Yishan would allocate it to him. She also gave him a strengthening potion, making him an enhancer. This kind of thing was considered a matter of life, and Shen Yishan could make the decision herself. Although the base was safer, the base had never lacked strengthening potions. At that time, Wang Feng had not disappeared, but was fighting against those mutant beasts in Black Dragon Mountain, so Shen Yishan was so generous. Moreover, after becoming an enhancer, his body became stronger and he was energetic when he had nothing to do research. Nongming was naturally grateful to Shen Yishan. Under the stimulation of the double improvement of strength and treatment, Nongming really made several high-yield crops, so that the Hope Base finally did not have to rely on corn and sweet potatoes as food. Nongming had developed high-yield improved varieties of wheat, rice, soybeans, etc. However, the weakness of these improved varieties is that they can only use the flesh and blood of zombies as fertilizer. Even rice does not need to be planted in water. It is planted in the land like wheat, and then buried with the flesh and blood of zombies. After it grows, it is watered again, and the flesh and blood of zombies is used to add fertilizer. It doesn't need to be taken care of. It can be harvested in more than 2 months. However, this kind of crop is currently only planted in Ganlin County. Those people outside only get corn and sweet potato seeds. Before they become real members of the base, Duan Lei does not intend to let them know too much. Anyway, corn and sweet potatoes can fill their stomachs. For people in the end of the world, being able to fill their stomachs is the biggest wish. It was just afternoon now, and Duan Lei was going to go back to the base to see if there was anything going on, and then take a group of people to the next prepared location, and try to open another one today. The current 25 farms have already arranged nearly 400,000 survivors, because those farms vary in size, with the largest number of people reaching 30,000 and the smallest only a few thousand. As for Haki City, Duan Lei has asked Lu Qiang and Tang Haoshan to go there to see it. Because Tianhuo base has become a ruin, the number of corpses there has also decreased a lot. Duan Lei plans to go there soon to collect the 3 get back the materials and equipment a bridge expert needs. Black Dragon Bridge is their choke point. After seeing the scale of zombies in Haki City, Duan Lei felt that he might hope that the base will experience larger scale zombie attacks in the future, because the zombies are becoming more and more intelligent. You can tell by the expression of the mutated zombie king, but what if there are more advanced zombies than the mutated zombie king in the future? The Hope Base is about to become a paradise for mankind. The Hope Base must not be destroyed due to carelessness. The Black Dragon Bridge happens to be the only way into Heilong City. There is still the sea outside the Black Dragon Mountain. It is impossible for zombies to escape from the mountain. The sea creatures don't know much about it. After turning the Black Dragon Bridge into a broken bridge with a retractable deck, the Hope Base in Black Dragon City really doesn't have to worry about zombies. After that, as long as you shift all your attention to Jianguan Town and build a seaside defense line there, the entire Hope Base will really be able to advance and attack, retreat and defend, and survive in this dark apocalypse with peace of mind. Go on and continue the hope of mankind. After Lu Qiang and Tang Haoshan went to Haki City, the situation they got was pretty good. Because of the complete destruction of the Sci-Fi base, the zombies that had previously surrounded the Sci-Fi base lost their targets. Most of them were missing. The remaining ones were all gathered in the original place. At that location of Sci-Fi base, they were rummaging through the corpses in the rubble. As for other places in Haki City, even if there are zombies, they are not dense and do not look dangerous, especially the materials and equipment. The three bridge experts know the location. After arriving in Hacky City, there is no need to blindly find it, go directly to the destination, get it and leave. It shouldn't be an intractable task. However, Du Enlai is now waiting for news from Lu Wanting. He asked Lu Wanting to start building a defensive fortress at Heilong Bridge, so that if he fails to seize equipment and materials in Hacky City, or attracts the pursuit of zombies, the Black Dragon Bridge can still be defended, and zombies will not be released into the Black Dragon City. Du Enlai quickly approached the Hope Base. Every time he returned to the Hope Base, he vaguely hoped that something unexpected would happen. Although he also believed that Wang Feng was dead, he still had some luck. I hope that when I come back sometime, I can see Wang Feng standing at the door of the base, smiling evilly at me. Sure enough, there was an accident at the Hope Base, but it was not what Du Enlai imagined. When Du Enlai entered the Hope Base and approached the Bishui community, he found that the gate was blocked by many people. Seeing something going on, the people in the car, the 10 Guardian soldiers, immediately climbed from the shooting port to the roof of the car, took out their weapons and pointed them forward, preparing for the attack. At this time, the sentry at the gate also spotted Du Enlai and quickly said something to the people surrounding the door. Those people looked at Du Enlai's hurricane and then gave way to Du Enlai to drive in. Du Enlai had just driven his car into the community when he spotted Lu Feng coming towards him. Du Enlai couldn't help but be startled. He hadn't seen Lu Feng show up since he returned to Hope Base. Today, this buddy finally figured it out. Du Enlai quickly stopped the car, and without even having time to ask what was going on at the door, he directly faced Lu Feng. "Old Lu. How are you?" Lu Feng looked at Du Enlai and smiled slightly. "It's okay. Xiao Lei. I heard that someone is dissatisfied with the base. Come and deal with it." Then, Lu Feng looked at the door. "Let me handle this matter, right?" Du Enlai turned around and looked at the survivors blocking the door. Although he didn't recognize them at all, Du Enlai knew that they must have come from the Tianhuo base, because he originally hoped that the people in the base would not be blocked by the sentries at the door. It can be said that those survivors who joined the Hope Base before the Sky-Fire camp got a bargain, because they all directly obtained the status of official members of the Hope Base, while those in the Sky-Fire base did not have such a good life. Only the more than 10,000 reinforcements, those who have special skills, as well as more than 20,000 people with special skills, have directly obtained the status of official members. Others need to rely on their own efforts to earn points, and then use the points to exchange for the status of official members. Survivors without official status were not allowed to enter the Bishui community without permission. Therefore, Du Enlai knew that these people were survivors from Tianhuo base. However, these guys did not go to work and came here. Do what? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 223. Du Enlai didn't know the purpose of these people's coming, but judging from their expressions, it was probably not a good thing. There were probably nearly 20,000 people in total, and they surrounded the south gate of Bishui community. Now Lu Feng was finally willing to show up. He took the initiative to make a request. Anyway, he didn't know what it was, so if he wanted to handle it, just leave it to him. Okay. I'll leave it to you then. Du Enlai patted Lu Feng on the shoulder, then returned to Hurricane and drove towards the club. In fact, he was quite curious, but since he said that he would leave the matter to Lu Feng, then it would be inconvenient for him to stay here any longer, as if he was spying on Lu Feng, and he knew Lu Feng's character. Du Enlai knew from the faint murderous aura emanating from him that someone would probably die this time. Now that Lu Feng has just appeared, no one knows what he has been thinking about these past few days. Duanlei doesn't want to lose this old captain who has undergone many changes. To be honest, he has known him for the longest time in the apocalypse. Apart from Wang Feng, Lu Feng is the only one who has known him for even longer than Taizu. Although there was a period of unhappiness before, and Lu Feng even wanted to kill Duanlei, Duanlei has now re-established trust in Lu Feng, and at the time of the breakout, both Lu Feng and Lu Jiang had no intention of killing him. He stood up hesitantly, facing an almost certain death. Alas, Duanlei in the car sighed secretly, not for himself and Lu Feng, but for those who were looking for trouble at the door. Duanlei could vaguely guess the purpose of these people, and it was nothing more than seeing those who were following them. The same ordinary people got the status of official members of the base because of certain specialties. Therefore, they felt unhappy and instigated and gathered some people with the same complaints to come here to reason. It's just that they were unlucky. If they had dealt with it themselves, their ending might have been better, but when they met Lu Feng, especially the current Lu Feng, Duanlei secretly sighed in his heart, but returned directly to the club. Unexpectedly, after entering the club, he saw Lu Wanting and Zhang Xiu. They led the construction team to Heilong Bridge 6 days ago, and these people have been missing since then. Come back, and now suddenly appear here. Could it be that a defensive fortress was completed so quickly? Ting ting. Could it be? Duanlei asked in surprise. Not yet. But the preliminary work has been completed and can play a defensive role, Lu Wanting said calmly. Since Wang Feng's death, Lu Wanting has never laughed or cried again. Maybe, in her heart, she already dead, he was just working hard to fulfill Wang Feng's last wish. Duanlei even had a terrible thought. Once the Hope Base meets the requirements mentioned by Wang Feng before and becomes a paradise on Earth in the apocalypse, will Lu Wanting leave this world at that time? Early stage, Duanlei asked cautiously. I have studied with the 3 bridge experts, and my defense facilities can be completely integrated with their renovation. If the materials and equipment for the bridge renovation arrive, and the renovation and defense fortress start at the same time, a new structure will be created. An absolutely perfect fortification. Lu Wanting's answer surprised Duanlei. So, in the past few days, I have been leading the 3 bridge experts to study the specific details at the Black Dragon Bridge, and made some preliminary preparations. I also temporarily built a small defense fortification on the other side of the bridge. This is just in case. I heard from Brother Chiang that the zombies in Haki City are almost gone, so let's just set off quickly, go to Haki City to grab what we need, and then complete the defense system of the Black Dragon Bridge as soon as possible. After that, we also need to design the defense in Jianguan Town. Lu Wanting said so much in one breath, but her expression never changed. Zhang Xiu on the side looked at her with some distress. Lu Wanting was almost sleepless these days, and she would always have this expression, which scared her. If Lu Wanting just cried for a while or was in a daze for a while, her performance would be considered normal, and she might be fine after a while, but her current performance is like this. Zhang Xiu was a little confused. Wang Feng hadn't been with Lu Wanting for long. It seems like these two are still young. Why was it that after Wang Feng died, Lu Wanting was hit so hard? Duanlei naturally felt that something was wrong, but he had nothing to say to persuade Lu Wanting now. He didn't even know who to turn to persuade him. Okay. Lao Lu is handling things outside. When he comes back, we will choose someone and set off tomorrow. Duanlei sighed softly. Okay, Lu Wanting agreed, then turned around and ran to a table next to her, and started scribbling on a piece of paper. What she was drawing was the defense blueprint for Jianguan Town. Now she is drawing it all the time. I'm thinking about work and don't want to stop for a moment. To be honest, Lu Wanting really doesn't want to return to Haki City, because once she sees the ruins of Tianhuo Base again, Lu Wanting will think of the figure flying in the sky, and the person who made her unforgettable, but he wanted to go very much, because like Duanlei, He also had a fantasy in his heart. Maybe when he returned there, that hateful guy would be waiting for him there. When people are truly desperate or helpless, they will very strangely deceive themselves into believing some extremely ridiculous things, and the smarter the person, the more so. Are you the head of this base? Lu Feng came to the south gate of Bishui community. A young man in his 20s, with a sallow complexion and a sarcoma on the right side of his nose, looked at Lu Feng and asked confidently. The most surprising thing was what's more, he got a speaker from nowhere, placed it on the ground, and held a microphone in his hand. I'm not the boss, but I take care of your affairs, Lu Feng sneered, turned around and looked at a hurricane following him, made a gesture and then looked back at the young man. Ah, that's fine, the young man knew Huan. He had followed Huan's ass to escape from the zombie sea in Haki City. He knew that the person followed by such a car must have a high status, so he turned around and shouted with the microphone. He said in a voice, "Brothers, someone is taking care of our affairs. Please praise this big brother more in the future. You have to make him take care of things better." Good. No problem. Looking at how loyal this big brother is, he must be a reasonable person. The people behind the young man praised Lu Feng one after another, but with more than 20,000 people speaking at the same time, it was a bit confusing, and it was impossible to hear a few words clearly. Okay. Let's talk. What's going on? Lu Feng asked, a trace of extreme disgust flashing in his eyes. That's it, look. We all came from Tianhuo base. When we came here, you said that we would be safe here and that we would have enough to eat. But when we came over to see it, it was wrong. You see? There is a safe place, but we are not allowed to live there. It requires a formal identity, so what points do we need to exchange for it? After hearing Lu Feng's question, the young man quickly recounted how he had been cheated and treated unfairly. When I asked about it, guess what? You have to work all day to exchange for those bullshit points. To exchange for points with a formal status, you have to work continuously for at least 2 or 3 months. Isn't this deceiving? It's simply more expensive than the household registration before the apocalypse. Is this too dark? Hearing this, Lu Feng frowned. You can buy an identity after working for 2 or 3 months, and it's still more expensive than before the apocalypse? Did you buy that humming identity on a telephone pole? Ah, when the young man heard this, he rolled his eyes and quickly changed the subject. Okay. Then let's not talk about this identity, let's just talk about eating. Before coming here, I said that I could eat enough, but after I got here, it's humming. I was full for dinner on the first day, but I haven't been full since then. Look at me, how humming hungry am I? Why aren't you full? Looking at the young man's expression, Lu Feng knew why he had never been full again, but he still asked. Hey. It's not like this humming base. You have to use points to exchange for a humming meal. You have to work for 3 or 4 hours every day. You can only earn points to exchange for meals. There's no first day. Drink that broth. When he mentioned the broth on the first day, the young man looked unhappy. Do you think this is a lie? Even if you don't give us a safe place to live, isn't it wrong if you don't even give us enough food? When you encouraged us to come over there, you didn't say you had to eat? Work. If we had made it clear before, we wouldn't have come because we don't have to work to eat in Tianhuo base. And the most outrageous thing is that more than 30,000 of the people who came with us have lived directly with you. Forget about those strengtheners, they deserve to have privileges, and we don't dare to offend. There are still more than 20,000. What's wrong with ordinary people? If they can just build a wall, plant some land, etc., then why can't I live there? Not fair at all. Lu Feng took a deep breath and slowly suppressed the anger in his heart. The Tianhuo base did distribute food for free. That was because there was no work to do in the Tianhuo base. Only those little bits of land were occupied by the evolvers. We have it in our hands, where can we get this kind of garbage to plant? Can what you say represent the people behind you? Lu Feng asked. Of course you can. Afraid that Lu Feng wouldn't believe it, the young man turned around and shouted, "Tell me, everyone. Does what I say make sense?" "That's right. Right. It's so unfair. Why do you have to work while eating?" "That's right. Forget about the enhanced ones, why can ordinary people live here? Why can't we?" "Yes. I knew it earlier. We might as well not have come. How comfortable would it be to stay at Sci-Fi base?" The crowd began to boil again. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 224. Lu Feng raised his arm, and after the crowd quieted down, he looked at the young man and said coldly, "Since the Sky-Fire base is good, we can send you back." The young man was stunned. "This tone is wrong. Didn't you say you would help us solve the problem? This, send you back. What's going on?" He stared at Lu Feng blankly. "No. Big brother. Didn't you say you would help us solve the problem? It's to solve the problem. You said the Sky-Fire base is good, if you want to go back, I will send you back. What else are you dissatisfied with?" Lu Feng's face was as cold as ice. "It seems that there are all kinds of birds in the forest. There are many survivors in the Sky-Fire base, and there are also many idiots. How can such people still survive until now? I really don't know what the leaders of the Sky-Fire base think. In fact, Lu Feng wronged Fang Cheng and others. Of course, they would not support such people. These people are not all like this. At least more than half of them were instigated to come here, thinking that it would be best if they could cheat their identities. If not, they would just go back. Moreover, when they first came here, including the young leader, they did not have such an idea. It was only after staying here for a week that they found that the people in the Hope base were very kind. They also came to the Bishui community out of curiosity. The soldiers of the Hope Legion guarding the door only warned them not to enter, but did not drive them away. Moreover, they have not seen a single zombie in the past few days. The fear that was weighing on their hearts has gradually faded. Moreover, since they are not qualified to enter the Bishui community, their meals are delivered by the people of the Hope base. Because those who have purchased food with points have been recorded, those who have not purchased will not be given, but the big barrel of corn and pumpkin porridge will not be just right, and there will usually be a little more. Those who do not have points to buy food beg for it. To be honest, the members of the Hope base really look down on this kind of porridge. For the members of the Hope base who can even eat meat every 3 or 5 days, the porridge is just heated up tomorrow and brought back. Therefore, sometimes there is not much left, so they just pour it directly to them. In addition, when they came here before, someone specifically explained the rules of the Hope base to them. Some of the rules are similar to those before the end of the world, such as not killing without reason, not robbing other people's belongings, etc., which are similar to the laws of human society before the end of the world. So this group of guys had an illusion that the Hope base was exactly like a society ruled by law before the end of the world. Especially the people here were very kind, as if they had not gone out to work for so many days, and no one had ever come to supervise them. In addition, the second day after they came here, they saw that more than 20,000 ordinary people moved out happily. It was said that they could move to the high-end community that did not allow them to live because they had special skills. Now they felt unbalanced, and some of these people also had special skills, but when they came to ask, they did not come forward because they were afraid that once they said it, they would be dragged to do hard labor. Now that they know there is this benefit, they hurried to run over to sign up, but who knows that they are no longer accepted there. Duan Lei knew the situation would happen, so he took special care of it. He only asked about their specialties, not the benefits. Those who signed up on the spot were accepted, and no one who wanted to sign up later was accepted. People are lazy and greedy, and they also have a fluke mentality. It is these things that have led to the current situation. When they were at the Tianhuo base, they hoped to escape the encirclement of the zombies and have a safe environment to hide. With a safe environment to hide, they wanted to be full. After being full, they hoped to live in a better place, enjoy every day, not have to work, and have good wine and food every day, and preferably beautiful women. As long as people's greed is together, it will never end, just like why some people fantasize that when a person is strong enough, they can destroy the universe with a wave of their hands and feet, because these people think clearly. Maybe only when they reach a certain level can people's hearts be satisfied, but it's a pity. No one has reached this level yet, so people still have no end. The young man looked at Lu Feng, and he suddenly found that Lu Feng didn't know how to chat. How could he continue? Can the Tianhuo base still go back? That was destroyed. Or it was destroyed by their people flying over and blowing up 2 missiles that seemed to be fired at their group. Oh. That's right. The young man's mind lit up. That person was one of theirs, and he couldn't help but yell into the microphone excitedly, "Don't bother us. Of course we want to go back to the Sci-Fi base. But now we can't go back. The Sci-Fi base has been blown up by that idiot who rushed towards the missile. Even if we go in, we can't survive there. Can you restore it to its original state for us? That idiot is one of yours." Buzz. After hearing the words "that idiot who rushed towards the missile," Lu Feng's head was buzzing. He didn't hear a word of what the young man said later. Recalling the figure of Wang Feng rushing towards the missile without hesitation when the missile rose, and the words he left at that time, "Take these people back to the Hope base." Lu Feng's eyes suddenly turned red, and the murderous intent in his body could no longer be suppressed. He directly snatched the microphone from the young man's hand and shouted into the microphone, "Do you all think that the person who rushed towards the missile is an idiot? If you don't think so, stand up." When Lu Feng rushed towards the young man, his murderous aura and scarlet eyes shocked the young man and the people around him, but before they could hide, the microphone in the young man's hand was snatched away by Lu Feng. When they saw Lu Feng just grabbing the microphone to speak, the young man and the people around him couldn't help but feel relieved. Lu Feng's actions once again proved their thoughts. The people in this base are indeed good people who obey the law. They were even more certain that they had come to the right place this time. After Lu Feng's words came out, the crowd was silent for 2 seconds, but then, people around the young man who saw Lu Feng's actions raised their arms and shouted, "Yes! That's that idiot! That's right! He is one of yours. You blew up our base. If you want to pay us compensation, we will live here." When the people behind heard the shouts of the people in front, they also shouted. At this moment, they were thinking about the 4 words, "The law does not punish the public." Moreover, what they said was also the truth. Although no one explained to them afterwards, the 600,000 survivors who escaped vaguely felt the truth of the matter, because they were all attracted by Wang Feng's figure at that time, and Wang Feng arrived at the place where the missile was launched. When the hurricane was there, the missiles had already taken off, and even people without military knowledge could tell that the 2 missiles were flying towards them. Combined with Wang Feng's action of detonating the missile and the performance of these people behind, it is not difficult to guess the truth of what happened at that time. However, at this moment, these people have ignored the previous details in their hearts. What they bite on is just the final result. Wang Feng detonated the missile and destroyed their Sci-Fi base. Even if you are the savior, you are dead anyway. You can't hear me praising you or scolding you, so it doesn't matter. It's better for you to take the blame again, so that we can live in this safer and more comfortable place. We will remember your good. This may be what these people are thinking at the moment. Ha 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 ha. Lu Feng couldn't help laughing crazily when he saw that no one was retreating. Then, Lu Feng turned around, looked at the guardian warrior sitting in the hurricane shooting position, and asked, "Record them all." The soldier didn't answer. He looked at the crowd in front of him coldly, stretched out his right hand and raised his thumb, which meant that it was recorded. Before coming here, Lu Feng found the guardians who were left behind. The soldiers of the Legion asked them to assemble at the south gate, lurk, wait for their orders, and let the hurricane follow them for the entire process. This guardian warrior also followed Lu Feng and the others to fight out of the Sci-Fi base. Naturally, he knew everything about the situation at that time. Now that he heard about these people that Wang Feng had exchanged for his own life, Wang Feng was about to die. In the next sentence, the person who wanted to take them back to the Hope base actually called Wang Feng a fool. The guardian warrior was angry. He promised that as long as Lu Feng's next order was not to kill these sons of bitches, he would definitely make the decision privately and use the machine gun in his hand to vent his anger on the dead Wang Feng. He would kill as many as he wanted. Even if he is killed by Lu Feng on the spot, he will not hesitate. Lu Feng did not disappoint him. He only heard him shout, "Guardian Legion!" 1,000 guardian soldiers hidden behind the defensive wall jumped on the wall one after another. Each one of them had red eyes and aimed their rifles in front of them. Of these bastards. Because these survivors of the Sci-Fi base are not qualified to enter the Bishui community, and the Bishui community has long built a stronger defensive wall than the Sci-Fi base, so they can only stand outside, and the two sturdy horizontal pull-out doors. The door was always open unless there was an emergency. Lu Feng stood at the door and talked with the young man. The guardian warriors who had been hiding behind the defensive wall had already been filled with rage after hearing the young man's words. Although not all of them had been to the Sci-Fi camp, Wang Feng's deeds had long been forgotten by those guardian warriors who had returned. The news has spread, and now, all the guardian warriors have only one thought in their minds: kill these ungrateful bastards. For that idiot charging at the missile. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 225. If these soldiers had not been trained by instructor Li Yingning, I am afraid that after jumping on the city wall, some people would not be able to help but open fire. But now, all the guardian warriors are pricking their ears and waiting for Lu Feng's order. They swear in their hearts that they must kill all these people and leave no one alive. Lu Feng did not give the order, but when all the guardian soldiers jumped on the defensive wall and prepared to attack, he turned back to look at the machine gun shooters on the hurricane. "Keep shooting. Don't miss every detail, even if you die, don't stop until I say it's over." Lu Feng's tone revealed a kind of madness, and his current image was also very scary. Because of the surge of blood, his face and eyes turned blood red. The machine gunner nodded, understood. Hearing Lu Feng say not to stop even if everyone is dead, the machine gunner was finally relieved. What he was worried about before would not happen. At this time, the young man and those close behind him began to feel that something was wrong. Because they were close, they naturally heard Lu Feng's words. In addition, so many soldiers with guns and live ammunition suddenly appeared on the city wall. They also felt that something was wrong. "You. What are you doing?" "I." The young man pointed at Lu Feng and said in a trembling voice. A foul smell came from his body. Looking at his pants, he saw that they were already wet. Lu Feng ignored him. There was absolutely no point in talking to the dead. He looked at the more than 20,000 survivors in front of him and shouted with a ferocious expression, "Put down your guns. There is no need to deal with these scum waste bullets, use bayonets, and let one go. From now on, no one will call himself a lunatic soldier." "Roar," 1,000 guardian warriors shouted together, then took off the guns on their bodies, placed them on the city wall, pulled out the daggers in their hands, and rushed towards the panicked survivors in front of them who were running away. When Lu Feng shouted and put down their guns, all these guardian soldiers were stunned. Fortunately, Lu Feng had told the brother to keep shooting. Even if all these people were dead, he would not stop. which meant that Lu Tiou was prepared to kill them. So I continued to listen. If Lu Feng had not taken care of the machine gunner first, then today, the Guardian Legion would have collectively disobeyed for the first time. After Lu Feng put down his gun, their guns would fire collectively, and Lu Feng might not have gotten his bloody hand. The title of Butcher. Lu Feng is indeed one of the commanders of the Guardian Legion. The Guardian soldiers call him Lu Tiou, but like Tang Tiou and Gui Tiou, they are just little heads, the real head of the Guardian Legion. There is only one, Wang Feng, and the Guardian soldiers call him just one word, head. Because they know that this Guardian Legion was built by Wang Feng himself. After being trained by the instructors, those who were still ordinary people have all become strengtheners. Everyone knows where the strengthening potions they use come from. In addition, Wang Feng is the strongest person in the Hope base, and soldiers have always only admired strong people, so Wang Feng's prestige in their hearts has always been very high, especially after this incident. At first, the young man's unreasonable words were very angry, but these Guardian warriors didn't feel anything because these were not their business. What really angered them was the young man's last words and the following ones. People called Wang Feng idiots, which made these Guardian warriors feel that if these people walked out of their presence alive, they would not have the face to see Wang Feng even if they died. When Lu Feng shouted the kill, he rushed out immediately. He did not attack the young man who was already urinating and peeing profusely, lying limply on the ground and begging for mercy. Instead, he flew towards those who were still able to run away. People. It was said that everyone should use military stabs, but at this time Lu Feng did not hold any weapons and was using his bare hands. During the pursuit, as long as he could hit, he would just punch out, and his brain would either burst or explode. A big hole was punched in the chest. In short, as long as Lu Feng caught them, they were all killed with one blow, and no one could survive. The other Guardian warriors also first killed those who fled outside. There were even a few who specifically stayed on the city wall. If they saw anyone running away, they would directly catch up and kill them. They would never let anyone escape their sight. However, the Guardian warriors all use military spurs. Although they can also use fists, and they seem to be more able to vent their anger when killing with fists, but that will be much less efficient. They only have 1,000 people, and the ones in front of them there are more than 20,000 enemies. In fact, they can't be called enemies, because the fighting power of the people in front of them is much worse than that of zombies. This is not a battle at all, but a massacre. If it weren't for them insulting Wang Feng, maybe these Guardian warriors would really do it. Regardless, this seems to be the first large-scale massacre of one's own kind since the establishment of the Guardian Legion. The battle only lasted 5 minutes and ended. When Lu Feng walked back to the young man at the front, he found that he was dead, but there was no scar on his body. He was actually scared to death. Originally, people in the apocalypse should not be so timid, but this young man has never really fought with zombies, and now it is still a living person killing a living person, not a battle between humans and zombies. Plus Lu Feng kills people. It was a bit bloody, especially when the young man thought that Lu Feng would come to kill him in the end, so he was scared to death within 2 minutes of watching the horror movie in front of him. Looking at the large pile of corpses lying scattered in front of them, the guarding soldiers didn't have anything to worry about. The few soldiers of the Hope Corps guarding the gate had already turned pale and their feet were weak. Not long after the battle started, they had already knelt on the ground and vomited crazily. They were still unconvinced at first. They were all members of the Legion, so why did the Guardian Legion receive such high treatment? The equipment is all unified, and they are all strengtheners. They have no worries about eating and drinking every day, and they run out to kill zombies every day. The hard work of looking at the door and moving things is all done by the hard-working Hope Corps like yourself. Aren't they called the Guardian Legion? They should be the ones guarding the door, right? Is this called guarding? There is also a jingle among the Legion of Hope, which is, if the guarding legion does not protect, the Legion of Hope will have no hope. Now, after seeing this scene, I hope that the people in the Legion finally know why they are worse than others, and that Jingle has gradually disappeared since then. Because they saw the gap, it was not entirely in terms of strength. When they looked at the soldiers guarding the Legion, standing in the mountains of corpses and seas of blood, calmly inspecting the battlefield, and applying wounds to those who were lucky enough not to die, they hoped that the legionnaires were truly convinced. This kind of ambition cannot be brought about by training. It must go through real bloody scenes to show such a will. So, what kind of training does instructor Li Yingning give these people? How could they have experienced such bloody scenes? At the Hope Base, instructor Li Yingning's training subjects have always been a mystery. However, those who have experienced instructor training, regardless of whether they passed or failed, will always hold back when asked, especially those who failed. In the eyes of some people, and with fear. Lu Feng looked at the corpses on the ground, with anger still on his face, and he spat hard, "Damn it! I didn't expect that the madman risked his life and rescued such a bunch of ignorant, ungrateful bastards. Damn it, what bad luck! Throw all these corpses under the willow tree, they are not even qualified to be buried." Immediately, the soldiers of the Guardian Legion ran in and drove. Fortunately, every time the Guardian Legion went out, they would bring back some zombie corpses. The vehicles were ready. Seeing the corpses being loaded into the trucks and being pulled towards the central square, Lu Feng turned back to the machine gunner who was still recording faithfully and said, "If anyone feels unfair for these people who died today, gather them together and watch this video. If they still have opinions after watching the video, let them come to me and I will explain it to them personally. By the way, my name is Lu Feng." Lu Feng said the last sentence to the camera. After speaking, he turned around and walked towards the club. This incident later spread in the base, and this video was seen by countless people. Because the Guardian warriors all wore helmets, no one could tell which one was which, and the psychological activities of those Guardian warriors were naturally no one knew, so this massacre was directly attributed to Lu Feng. When Lu Feng later appeared in the camera, because he killed all of them with bare hands, his body and face were splashed with blood, especially his palms, which were blood red. Therefore, after this incident, Lu Feng has another title, Bloody Hand Butcher. His reputation among the base even surpassed that of Wang Feng. However, although the massacre was blamed on Lu Feng, no one went to question Lu Feng. Although Lu Feng left his name in the video and said he would personally explain it to him, but it's because those people do have a way to die, and the most important thing is, even if you think Lu Feng is a little too much, do you dare to go to him and ask him to explain to you? In fact, Lu Feng never expected this ending. He originally thought that the worst result would be that he would directly drive those guys out of the Hope Base and let them fend for themselves outside. At most, he would only kill a few leaders. Killing chickens to scare monkeys, that's why he let the Guardian soldiers ambush behind the defensive wall, because he knew that it would be unreasonable to reason with so many people, and the only way to suppress them was to use force. At most, he would just kill a few. The reason why the machine gunner was allowed to film the whole process was because they knew that once people like them found out that their calculations were not good enough and were kicked out, they would definitely regret it and deny it in every possible way, so they left a piece of evidence because Lu Feng would never allow it. This kind of people stay in the base. If we let them go this time, they will definitely do it again. The base left by Wang Feng must not be destroyed in the hands of such a villain. Absolutely not. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 226. Lu Feng himself did not expect such an ending, but he could not control his emotions at that time. More than 20,000 lives were lost because of his order. None of them escaped. Even their bodies turned into ashes. Even the powerful turtle could not leave anything behind in the swallowing of the willow tree, not to mention those survivors who were just ordinary people. After being sent to the willow tree, the last traces they left in this world will eventually disappear. But Lu Feng does not regret it now. If he has another chance, he will still make the same choice. In fact, no matter how Lu Feng chooses, the endings of those people will be almost the same, because even if Lu Feng is willing to let them go, those guarding warriors will not let them go. Even if they want to disobey orders, they will kill all of them. The name of a hero must not be insulted, especially after his death. Lu Feng appeared today, originally intending to be a villain. He has thought a lot in the past few days. During the time he was with Wang Feng and Duan Lei, Lu Feng has changed a lot. He is no longer as selfish as before. In his heart, there are also some things that are more important than his own life. He didn't know whether his change was right or wrong, because he had criticized Duan Lei and Wang Feng before, saying that their personalities were not suitable for this end of the world. Now Wang Feng's death just confirmed his words. But now, even Lu Feng himself was not sure if he would make the same choice as Wang Feng if he had the speed and reaction of Wang Feng when the missile took off. After thinking about it for 6 or 7 days, Lu Feng still didn't understand. Moreover, some things could not be changed back just because he wanted to. Just now, when he saw the situation below, Lu Feng could roughly guess what was going on below without asking. He knew the people below too well. Looking at their expressions, Lu Feng knew what they were here for. Wang Feng left, and Hope Base might experience an unstable stage. He must help Hope Base to get through this stage, because this base is Wang Feng's dream. He can't complete it by himself, so he will assist Duan Lei to complete it. Lu Feng is quite good at dealing with this kind of thing, because if it were Duan Lei, Shen Yishan, or even Lu Qiang, they might explain to them why they can't move in and the necessity of points. But Lu Feng won't do that. He knows that they actually understand these principles. They just pretend to be stupid and get entangled with you. They want to rely on their numbers to force you to compromise and achieve their goals. If you reason with them at this time, you will only be furious and completely useless. Moreover, once you compromise, they will soon come again. Because the desires of such people can never be satisfied. Even if you give them the command of the base, they will still want more. To deal with such people, there is only one thing that works: fists. There is no need to reason. Just go up and punch them. Tell them that I am unfair, and they will be honest. Lu Feng was going to be a bad guy today. He also planned that he would be the bad guy in the base in the future. He didn't care about his reputation anyway. Besides, when it comes to ruthlessness, neither the steady Lu Qiang nor the generous Tang Haoshan can compare with him. In order for the base to stabilize, strong measures must be taken. If necessary, killing a chicken to scare the monkeys is necessary. Lu Feng decided to play this role by himself. As long as the base can survive the period without Wang Feng and slowly stabilize, what's wrong with bearing a little infamy? It's better to be feared than respected. This has always been Lu Feng's creed. He can't be Wang Feng, nor can he be Duan Lei, but they can't replace him either. But now Lu Feng knows that he seems to have done too much. This is no longer killing a chicken to scare the monkeys. He has killed all the monkeys. Lu Feng doesn't know what the survivors from the Tianhuo base will think of this matter. Will they feel sad for the death of the rabbit? After all, these 20,000 people came with them. Shaking his head, Lu Feng simply didn't want to think about it. This kind of thing should be left to Duan Lei to figure out. He can't be called a military advisor for nothing. When Lu Feng walked into the club, his appearance scared the people inside. He looked like he had just been fished out of a pool of blood. He walked from the south gate to the club. When he took a step, the blood left on his body could actually form footprints on the ground. Duanlei was also stunned when he saw Lu Feng's appearance. He knew that Lu Feng should kill people this time, but how many did he kill? How many are left? Duanlei asked carefully. He had prepared himself mentally to accept a relatively large death toll, so when he asked, he didn't ask how many were killed, but how many were left. Obviously, Duanlei still underestimated Lu Feng. Lu Feng shook his head, looked at Duanlei, and said softly, "No one is left." Duanlei was shocked when he heard Lu Feng's words, then lowered his head and thought about it. However, it seemed that Duanlei soon figured out the reason. He walked up to Lu Feng and patted his shoulder, "Go upstairs to wash up, change clothes, and then come down. Let's discuss going to Haki City to grab supplies tomorrow." "Don't you ask me why I killed them all." Lu Feng was also stunned. "No need," Duanlei shook his head, "I can guess why they came. Just like this, you won't kill such a killer. It may be possible to kill less than 100 people. Since there is no one left now, it can only be because of the madman." Duanlei said affirmatively, "They must have slandered the madman. Such a person deserves to die." Hearing the word madman, Lu Wanting, who seemed to have been concentrating on drawing the blueprint and not paying attention to the surrounding environment, suddenly trembled with the tip of the pen in her hand. She paused for a long time before continuing to draw. Duanlei then took a breath and sighed, "Old Lu. This role is indeed the most suitable for you." "Thank you." Duanlei's last thank you was very serious and solemn, as if it contained some kind of entrustment. Hearing Duanlei's words, Lu Feng felt an indescribable feeling in his heart. He didn't expect that Duanlei also knew him so well. It seems that when he said he wanted to take over that matter just now, Duanlei already knew his thoughts, so he left without asking any questions after agreeing, leaving the matter completely to himself. Lu Feng nodded and said nothing more. Instead, he went upstairs directly. Looking at Lu Feng's back, Duanlei sighed again, hoping that the base now needed a tough guy to calm the situation. Lu Feng was the most appropriate person. "All evolvers, gather at the club tonight." Duanlei picked up the intercom and shouted to it, "There are important things to discuss, over." Hearing Duanlei's voice, all the evolvers answered one by one, saying that they knew, and Hu Yahuan, who was in the farm, took out the intercom and looked at it, then put it aside and ignored it. He was not prepared to mix into the management of the space. Although he was an evolver, he just wanted to live in peace. At the beginning of this doomsday, he lost all his family, parents, younger brother, and wife. The only thing he had left now was his own life. Thinking of his wife crying and shouting to him before she died, asking him to live well, from that time on, he swore that he must do his best to live. He didn't know if his wife could see that he was still alive, but he always felt that his wife seemed to be looking at him in the dark. Her eyes should be full of love and comfort, because he was still alive. Before the end of the world, Hu Yahuan was a farmer. He didn't understand many great principles. He just guarded his few acres of land and stayed with his wife every day, working together, eating together, and sleeping together. His wife couldn't have children, but Hu Yahuan didn't dislike his wife. Although infertility was a big problem in rural areas, even Hu Yahuan's parents advised Hu Yahuan to divorce this wife and find another one. But Hu Yahuan refused to die. He followed his wife every day. Although their life was not rich, they didn't have any worries. If someone asked Hu Yahuan, "Did you not divorce your wife because of love?" Hu Yahuan would definitely not be able to answer, because he didn't know what love was. He didn't say "I love you" to his wife, and his wife didn't say it either, because they were rural people and didn't understand those romantic things. Hu Yahuan only knew that he was unwilling to divorce his wife because of habit. He was used to being with his wife every day, used to her nagging, used to her complaints, and even used to his wife snoring at night. His wife was not beautiful nor gentle and never knew what it meant to act like a spoiled child. Her big feet made her run briskly, and she was also quite skilled in farm work. According to the city people, such a woman should be called a female man. Hu Yahuan felt that there was nothing wrong with this. At least his wife knew how to care for him. She rushed to do the work when he was working, just wanting him to rest for a while. For Hu Yahuan, having a wife who cared for him was better than anything else. So what if there were no children? It is said that raising a son is a way to prepare for old age, but the person who accompanies you to the end will always be your spouse. Just because of the advent of the end of the world, his wife could not accompany him to the end. That day, the two of them went to the city to buy seeds, and they happened to encounter the arrival of the sky fire. Hu Yahuan and his wife instinctively ran out of the city, wanting to run back to their home, but they were blocked by 3 zombies, and the zombies behind them also caught up. Hu Yahuan's wife, a strong rural woman, rushed forward without thinking, and actually pushed all 3 zombies aside, shouting without looking back, "Boss, you go live well." Hu Yahuan did not go to save his wife. One is that he is used to listening to his wife, and the other is that he also knew that his wife was hopeless, and the zombies had almost broken her neck. So, Hu Yahuan ran out from the road that his wife opened for him with her life, and fortunately met Fang Cheng's army and survived. From then on, living well became his only goal in this end of the world. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 227. When night gradually enveloped the Hope Base, the clubhouse of Bishui community was already filled with powerful people. Except for Hu Yahuan, all the evolvers of the Hope Base had arrived here. However, the atmosphere in the clubhouse seemed a bit depressing. In normal times, these evolvers would often gather here to talk to each other about their experiences today and make fun of each other. However, now due to the news of Wang Feng's death, it seems that no one is in the mood to talk and are all silent. Find a seat and sit there, thinking about your own thoughts. Everyone. The madman is gone, but I still have to help him defend the base he left behind. This is his last wish. If you have any other ideas, I, Duan Lei, will never stop you. Please tell me directly. Ray was the first to break the silence. That's right, Tang Haoshan immediately stood up. My old Tang's life was given by a madman. In the end, I will definitely return this base to him. If you want to find another way out, say it now, no one will stop you. If you do any tricks behind your back, don't blame me, old Tang, for turning against you. As soon as Duan Lei and Tang Haoshan said these words, there was silence below, no one spoke. Now, not only the evolvers, but also many enhancers, especially those who had participated in the Hope Conference, were all present. In addition, as well as new members like Apollo and Thesis. Okay. Then. Let me ask you more clearly. If you are still willing to stay in the Hope Base, maintain the same status quo, and continue to obey my orders, please stand behind me. If you have other opinions, please come in front of me. After Duan Lei finished speaking, he stood up and walked to the center of the club. Hola, in an instant, everyone stood behind Duan Lei. In front of Duan Lei, only Apollo and Tessis were left. Oh. Wrong. There is another person, Instructor Li Yingning. The reason why Li Yingning came here is because Wang Feng hasn't come back yet. He needs to help him keep an eye on this base to prevent any trouble, so as not to cause trouble after that guy comes back. In short, if anyone makes trouble at the scene, Li Yingning would not explain anything to him, nor would she persuade him to just beat him to death with a stick. He wanted to cause trouble when he saw Wang Feng dead. In Li Yingning's opinion, there were not many deaths. In the entire Hope Base, I am afraid that only Li Yingning confirmed that Wang Feng was not dead and would definitely come back, and it wouldn't be long. But he didn't tell anyone about it. As for Li Yingning still sitting in front of Duan Lei, everyone including Duan Lei chose to pretend not to see it, because they had all been trained by the instructors, and of course they understood his temper and understood that Li Yingning did not mean to have any objections. But he was simply too lazy to move and didn't bother to express his position in front of them. Having said that, even if Li Yingning said he was willing to accept Du Enlai's command, Du Enlai still had to have the courage to command the instructor. Moreover, the instructor is willing to come here, and Du Enlai feels more confident. Even if Wang Feng is still there, he hopes that the strongest combat power in the base is Li Yingning. This is recognized by everyone, so now, everyone in the lobby is looking at all focused on Apollo and Thesis. Inside, we need to make sure first. Wang Feng said before that the Hope Base was established to continue human civilization and become the hope of mankind. Now, he seems to be dead, so you hope the purpose of the base won't change. Apollo looked at Du Enlai, without the playful smile before, and asked seriously. As long as I am alive, the purpose of the Hope Base will never change, Du Enlai said categorically. And me. And me. And me. Behind Du Enlai, figures stood out one after another. Tang Haoshan, Lu Feng, Gui Weivong, etc. were all members who had participated in the Hope Conference. They stood side by side with Du Enlai. In a moment, they had participated in the Hope Conference. All the people were present, except for the person who spoke the most at the beginning. Tang Haoshan looked at the people around him, then looked at Apollo, and said word by word, as long as one of these people is alive, the purpose of the Hope Base will never change. Okay. Then we have no problem. After Apollo said this, he looked at each other and stood behind Du Enlai with Tessis. Everyone, please sit down. Du Enlai looked a little excited. Lu Feng and others didn't care. He didn't expect that all the people who had participated in the Hope meeting would actually stand up to support him. Many of these people were still in the second level. Enhancer, because Wang Feng only had evolution potions, and he didn't release much. It can be said that those second-level enhancers, after staying in the Hope Base for so long, seem to have gained nothing at all. However, at this critical moment, they still remembered the oath they shouted back then and chose to stand by their side. Together with myself, we carried the banner of the Hope Base. This is because these people have witnessed the establishment of the Hope Base with their own eyes, regard themselves as the veterans of the Hope Base, and regard the Hope Base as their home. Du Enlai suddenly felt a little ashamed in his heart. He felt that he seemed to have ignored these people. Existence. Everyone. In this case, I have something to say directly. Du Enlai looked at everyone here. We went out this time and brought back 600,000 survivors. The madman also died because of this. I don't want to know the cause of his death. Again, I think everyone should already know. This Hope Base belongs to him, and we will continue to help him protect it. The first thing I have to do is to ensure the safety of our base, so in the next period of time, our focus will be on the defense of the Hope Base. I think everyone knows that the Black Dragon bridges are only gateway to and from the Hope Base. Therefore, I first need to build up the defense on the Black Dragon Bridge. This time when we went out, we found that more terrifying zombies appeared in the outside world. There the wisdom is also higher. I think one day, we will face the attack of a huge zombie wave. Tomorrow I am going to lead a team to Haki City. There are materials and necessary equipment we need to build the Black Dragon Bridge. Old Tang and the others have already gone to investigate the situation there. The zombies have almost dispersed. Although there are still, but it shouldn't be a problem for us, and the sooner the Black Dragon Bridge's defense system is built, the safer we will be. This is our first large-scale operation after the madman left. I won't force it, because there may still be a large number of mutated zombies and even mutated zombie kings in Haki City. This trip may be very dangerous. Those who are willing to go, sign up now. I'm going. As soon as Du Enlai finished speaking, a person stood up immediately. It was Lu Wanting. I must go. Looking at Lu Wanting, Duanlei hesitated. In fact, he might actually encounter danger this time, but the defense of the Black Dragon Bridge must be done as soon as possible. Who knows when the dispersed corpse tide will come to them? Xiao Wu may still be there. If we meet him, our actions will be much safer. Lu Wanting explained her reason, only I can command Xiao Wu, and he doesn't know you. Ting ting. Just let me go. You should stay at the bridge. After you get the things back, you can start working immediately. Seeing Duanlei's dilemma, Chen Tianhao said. He had gone out with Wang Feng before, and later came back first because he was escorting Apollo and the others. Unexpectedly, this farewell to Wang Feng turned out to be an eternal farewell. Now, in Lu Wanting's camp, Chen Tianhao's comrades are almost gone. Zhao Tianhan died early and was buried in a specially opened cemetery in the Hope Base. Chen Xiaoan and Wang Feng were buried together in Haki City, with their bones no chance, so Chen Tianhao had to go to Haki City. Even if he died there, he would be reunited with his former comrades. I'll go. Lu Wanting didn't adopt Chen Tianhao's suggestion, but she didn't argue. She just repeated it again and sat down directly. Duanlei shook his head helplessly. Lu Wanting had obviously made up her mind, and no one could stop her. Duanlei also knew that Lu Wanting had a more important reason for going to Haki City, the same as himself, that is, she still had something in her heart. That trace of fantasy. I've been there. The road is familiar, so I have to go too, Lu Feng said calmly. No matter how familiar you are, how can you be more familiar with me? I'm a local snake, Meng Fei said, I want a spot. Lao Meng. Why do you always only want one place? Do you have to ask me again? Li Gu said with some dissatisfaction, I am also a local snake, I will go too. I also want to go back and have a look. After all, I have lived here for so long. Li Tianxiang also expressed his intention to join. Afterwards, the evolvers present signed up one after another. In the end, except for the instructor Li Yingning, all the evolvers expressed their intention to go to Haki City. I'll go. Apollo took a breath. Are you so united? Tessis rolled his eyes at him. Are you an evolved person? Why would a second-level person join in the fun? You go ahead. No. I'm not saying I'm going. I'm saying I'm going, Apollo explained quickly, and then found that there seemed to be something wrong with his explanation. Okay. Stop arguing. This time, except for the evolvers, the enhancers will only bring the guardian warriors, and the rest will stay to guard the base. Duanlei finally decided on the candidates to participate in the operation, which were all the evolvers present except Li Yingning, plus the Guardian Legion. Because Duanlei understands that although other second and third level evolvers have also received training from Li Yingning trains them in different ways and with different pertinence. Other enhancers are more powerful in single combat, and Guardian warriors work as a team. To deal with small groups of zombies, or lone mutant zombies, those second and third level enhancers may be more suitable, but in a large group of zombies, the cooperation between the Guardian warriors is more effective. At least, those strengtheners cannot maintain uninterrupted firepower output. What he has to deal with this time is a large group of zombies, so it is more appropriate to bring along Guardian warriors. Moreover, Duanlei cannot afford to lose the second and third level enhancers now, especially after seeing their attitude just now. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 228. Hearing that Duanlei had made the decision, everyone stopped talking and looked at Duanlei. Duanlei looked at the instructor Li Yingning. Instructor. After we set off, Hope Base will be handed over to you. Li Yingning stood up, nodded slightly to Duanlei, and then turned and walked out of the club. Seeing the instructor's statement, Duanlei's heart was finally relieved. Although Li Yingning only nodded slightly, it also meant that he agreed. Then, as long as Li Yingning was still alive, Hope Base would definitely not have any problems. Only in this way, Du Enlai dared to take all the evolvers out at once. Honestly, Du Enlai is not such an adventurous character. If Wang Feng had not died, he would not have made such a move. Now he just wants to build the defense of Hope Base as soon as possible. If Hope Base is destroyed under his management, Du Enlai will never forgive himself. Du Enlai didn't want to lose anyone in this trip to Haki City, so he could only bring as many people as possible. If he wasn't afraid that those third-level and second-level enhancers might suffer heavy losses in the corpse tide, Du Enlai would have wanted to bring all the enhancers. He still felt scared when he thought about the scene of being surrounded by more than 40 mutant zombies and a mutant zombie king. If Xiao Wu hadn't appeared suddenly, they might not be able to stand here now, and would have been drowned by the terrifying corpse tide. Since the candidates for tomorrow had been decided, Du Enlai didn't say much and immediately signaled everyone to go back and rest and prepare for tomorrow's action. After everyone left, Du Enlai came to the central square alone and looked at the willow tree. Today, because of Lu Feng's madness, the willow tree was considered to have had a good time and received more than 20,000 human corpses. Alas! I hope everything goes well tomorrow, Du Enlai sighed as he looked at the willow tree. If tomorrow's action can be successfully returned without losing anyone, it will be very important to boost the morale of the Hope Base. However, if it fails, no one knows how long the Hope Base can last. Shen Yishan came slowly and gently hugged Du Enlai from behind. Now Shen Yishan and Du Enlai's relationship has been confirmed, but they haven't lived together yet. Because of Wang Feng's death, Du Enlai really didn't feel like it. Tomorrow, be careful. Shen Yishan knew what tomorrow's action meant to Du Enlai and the Hope Base, so she didn't persuade Du Enlai not to go. After Wang Feng's death, Du Enlai, as the highest commander of the base, couldn't always stay in the base like before. If Wang Feng was still there, then naturally there would be nothing. Everyone in the base knew the relationship between Du Enlai and Wang Feng. Even if Du Enlai died of old age in the base, no one would say a word, because Wang Feng had been fighting outside, so naturally he had to leave someone he trusted the most at home. Now if Du Enlai was still like that, there might be nothing in the short term, but over time, someone would definitely be dissatisfied. Everyone knew that it was safest to be at home. As for the instructor Li Yingning, well, he doesn't count. No one will talk about him unless that guy has lost faith in life. And this is the first large-scale operation after Wang Feng's death. Du Enlai must lead the team personally, especially now that a week has passed. Du Enlai's strength has been fully restored, and the thunderstorm can be launched again. In addition, the energy in his body has increased. Although he has not yet entered the ranks of the second-level evolvers, at least, he will not fall into a coma after launching the thunderstorm. When the first ray of sunlight in the morning shone into the Hope Base, Du Enlai and his team had already set off. In order to ensure the smooth operation of this operation, Du Enlai and his team took the remaining 7 Hurricane IIS and the 1 Hurricane I, and there were 10 large trucks following behind. The Hurricane was responsible for opening the way, and the trucks were responsible for pulling the goods. However, now, the carriages of these 10 large trucks were full of guard warriors. The 8 Hurricanes could not accommodate all 3,000 guard warriors. Their first stop was the reserve warehouse, where they had to replenish ammunition. After the last war, a lot of ammunition for the 6-barreled machine guns was consumed, so they had to prepare more this time. Du Enlai even planned to bring all the bullets for the 6-barreled machine guns. In the crowded zombies, the power of the 6-barreled machine gun is unquestionable. It is definitely a sharper weapon than missiles, because missiles also depend on the distance. They cannot attack too close, and they have no effect if they attack too far. Instead, they are not as convenient as 6-barreled machine guns. After replenishing sufficient ammunition, Du Enlai and his convoy finally headed towards the Black Dragon Bridge. After arriving at the Black Dragon Bridge, Du Enlai saw the results of Lu Wanting's work during this period. Many tents were built at the bridgehead, where construction workers from the engineering team lived. These people were engaged in this industry before the end of the world, and they were familiar with the road. The 3 bridge experts were also here. After the convoy arrived, they entered the Type 1 hurricane. Because they knew where the materials and equipment were, they had to bring them along and ensure their safety. Without them, even if the materials and equipment could be brought back, no one could perfectly complete the defense system of the Black Dragon Bridge. Professional things still need professionals to do. The main force of the battle will be the 7 Type 2 hurricanes. The Type 1 hurricane is auxiliary and is mainly responsible for leading the way. Opposite the Black Dragon Bridge, a defensive wall also appeared at this time, but it did not block the road. This was to facilitate the passage of vehicles. If a wave of corpses really followed, then the gaps on both sides could be blocked with hurricane force winds. Above, this is Lu Wanting's design. Because this is temporary, it is not worth consuming too much material. Anyway, after the entire Heilong Bridge is renovated, this wall will still have to be demolished. When the convoy drove here, 1,000 Guardian soldiers jumped out of the car, because their mission was to prepare for defense here. Once they were really chased by a zombie wave, they would be the main defense force behind the defensive wall. After they got off the bus, the convoy continued moving forward. After everyone passed the Heilong Bridge, the mighty convoy headed towards Haki City. 7 Hurricane 2 vehicles were at the front. Lu Feng and others stood on the roof of the Hurricane, constantly observing the surrounding situation with binoculars. Hurricane I brought those 10 large trucks. Following 2 kilometers away from the rear of the Hurricane convoy. Along the way, no large waves of zombies were found. The few waves of zombies they occasionally encountered were jumped out of the car by Taizu, Yunfei, and the others, and were dealt with silently at close range. When they arrived at Haki City at that time, Du Enlai parked the car at the place where he launched the missile when he came last time, and carefully observed Haki City with his binoculars. It took nearly half an hour before Du Enlai put down the telescope, took a deep breath, and said softly, "Let's go." Du Enlai spent such a long time observing Haki City because he wanted to see if there were any traces of mutant zombies and mutant zombie kings. If more than 50 mutant zombies were found, even if the mutant zombie king was not found, Du Enlai might this operation will be cancelled. Now he is surrounded by the core figures of the Hope Base. If any one of them is lost, the Hope Base will be hit. Especially after losing Wang Feng, the Hope Base can no longer withstand any blow. Fortunately, after half an hour of observation, Du Enlai did not find any mutant zombies, only large groups of scattered zombies wandering around Haki City, but Du Enlai was still a little worried. After all, the mutant zombies, he didn't know the extent of the king's intelligence, and he also didn't know the mutant zombie king's combat power. Although he knew that Wang Mi, one of the 3 miners, had killed a mutant zombie king, Du Enlai was not sure about the true combat power of the 3rd miner. Secondly, Du Enlai had already guessed that the mutated zombie king was in his own hands. He was seriously injured in the launched missile, so there was no way to judge the mutant zombie king's combat power from this aspect. Du Enlai did not find any mutant zombies or mutant zombie kings, but he still couldn't rest assured, because in Haki City now, only the zombies on the original Tianhuo base ruins can be clearly seen, and the buildings in other parts of Haki City are still bigger. Parts are intact, and no one knows whether there are zombies hidden in those buildings. If it weren't for the limited vehicle-mounted missiles of Hurricane, Du Enlai even wanted to raise the entire Haki City to the ground, but he didn't have so many vehicle-mounted missiles. Hurricane's vehicle-mounted missiles are specially made, small in size and powerful. The only shortcoming is even though the range is not as high as other normal missiles, which can reach hundreds of kilometers, missiles with such a long range are useless in this apocalyptic world. Although he was still worried, Du Enlai still issued the order to set off, because he had to get the materials and equipment needed for the defense system of Black Dragon Bridge, and the people were already here. He couldn't just go back home because of his doubts, even if Doomsday doesn't care about his own prestige, and it also has a serious impact on the morale of others. Following Doomsday's order, 7 Hurricane 2 vehicles set off one after another, following the guidance of the 3 bridge experts, and drove into Haki City. Although it was enough to bring a bridge expert with them, the materials and equipment they still need to distinguish. The 3 of them can speed up a little together. If they are caught in the tide of corpses, even if they win for a second, they may save the entire team from destruction. A bridge expert sat in the firing position of the Hurricane, using a walkie-talkie to direct the direction of the convoy. Now the drivers and machine gunners of the Hurricane are all guard warriors, and the evolvers all stay on top of the Hurricane, watching closely. Around. The scattered zombies along the way were still dealt with by Taizu, Yunfei, and others. The Guardian soldiers also kept shooting at the surrounding zombies with rifles equipped with silencers. Now the zombies in Haki City are not so dense. Doomsday doesn't want to. It made too much noise and attracted all the zombies from the ruins of Sky-Fire base. Their position is very bad, because, according to the bridge expert, if they want to reach the location of those materials and equipment, they have to pass through almost half of the city, and they are already close to the Sky-Fire ruins. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 229. The convoy moved forward slowly. Although the Hurricane moved silently, there were still 10 large trucks following closely behind them. If the 10 large trucks were to speed up, they would make a lot of noise, and as the speed slowly increased, the convoy would move forward slowly. Going deep into the city of Haki, the formation of the convoy also slowly changed. Among the 7 Hurricanes, 2 came to the end of the convoy and took on the task of starting and breaking off. However, as the convoy slowly deepened, Doomsday's heart gradually grew stronger. Although the zombies at the Sky-Fire ruins were still rummaging around, trying to dig out the rotten corpses buried inside, it seemed that he was not attracted by the movement here at all. Moreover, from entering Haki City to now, they have killed a total of more than 1,000 zombies. It seems that everything is going smoothly, but Doomsday always feels that something is wrong, but he can't catch the moment. A fleeting feeling. When the convoy passed 2 tall buildings, Doomsday was suddenly shocked. He thought about what was wrong, that is, the enhanced zombies, and mutated zombie kings did not appear. Why, up to now, the convoy didn't even find a single enhanced zombie. There is an ambush. Although he didn't quite believe it, these 3 words still appeared in Doomsday's mind. He looked around, suddenly his eyes lit up, he pointed at a small square about 1 kilometer to the right of the motorcade and shouted. Go forward at full speed, enter the square, and form a defensive formation there. Now. After hearing Doomsday's words, even though they didn't know what happened, the Guardian warriors driving the Hurricane immediately carried out Doomsday's order, accelerated sharply, and all entered the small square. Then, following Doomsday's instructions, the trucks parked next to each other in the middle, forming a square formation. 8 Hurricanes formed a circle around the square formation of large trucks, forming a defensive formation. Because 5 large trucks are parked side by side in a row, and then the other 5 are parked in the same way, with the butts of the trucks facing the butts of the trucks, so the carriages of 10 large trucks form a large platform, which was originally in the carriage. The guard soldiers came to the top of the carriage one after another and began to check weapons and ammunition in preparation for battle. Looking at the seemingly normal surroundings, Lu Feng and others looked at Doomsday with some confusion. They didn't know why Doomsday suddenly came to this small square as if facing a powerful enemy, and even set up a defensive formation, as if it seemed like a powerful enemy was about to attack. Although it seems that among the surrounding terrain, this small square is more suitable as a fighting venue, but, where is the enemy? Zombies? Or a mutant beast? Or something else? Doomsday didn't explain. He didn't notice any zombies around him, but he just felt something was wrong. In this city that was once occupied by tens of millions of zombies, Doomsday would rather be careful than try to ensure the safety of his team. I didn't find any zombies, but I found that something was a little wrong, Doomsday explained as he was still observing the surroundings carefully with the telescope. Wrong? What's wrong? Tang Haoshan was also a little dizzy. He looked around and then at Doomsday. Isn't this quite normal? You mean zombies? Lu Feng also looked around and suddenly thought of something. That's right. They are zombies, Doomsday replied while moving his vision. From entering Haki City to now, we have only killed about 1,000 zombies, which is different from the density when we first came. Too much. Perhaps this can be explained by the fact that the mutated zombie king took away all the zombies, but the 1,000 or so zombies are all wanderers, and there is not even one enhanced zombie. Don't you find it strange? Hey. That said. Tang Haoshan suddenly realized, and quickly raised his binoculars to look around the city. Sure enough, after looking for a long time, he did not see even an enhanced zombie in his field of vision. This situation was indeed true. Something was wrong. Tang Haoshan, who often led the team to clean up zombies outside, frowned and asked Doomsday. What do you think, is this going on? Think about it first. Is there anything different here from when you came here before? If so, tell me. Doomsday put down the telescope and asked a question instead of answering directly. Tang Haoshan and Lu Feng looked at each other and seemed to wake up at the same time. There were a lot more zombies than there were now, and we also saw mutant zombies. Now not only are the number of zombies much smaller, but the mutant zombies are also gone. That's the problem. I guess we might have been ambushed by zombies, Doomsday said with a serious expression. Ambushed by zombies, the surrounding evolvers looked in disbelief. However, those who had seen the mutated corpse king, such as Lu Feng, Lu Qiang, Li Tianxiang, and others, after recalling the image of the mutated corpse king, can't help but believe Doomsday's words. The mutant zombie kings are very close to humans in terms of size and appearance. However, their skin color is pale, without any blood color, but their eyes are blood red, and there are fangs in their mouths and on their faces. Some weird patterns can tell that they are not human beings. But thinking about the eyes of the mutant zombie king at that time, these evolvers were sure that those eyes were definitely the eyes of an intelligent creature. Although the entire eyeball looked blood red, the mutant zombie king at that time was. They have not forgotten the hateful and violent look when they looked at them. Where will he ambush? Lu Feng asked, looking at the surrounding terrain. There are too many places. There may be a large group of zombies waiting for us in every high-rise building. Doomsday looked at the surrounding buildings and smiled bitterly. Haki City is not a Black Dragon city. Although the most prosperous area in the city center has been destroyed by 2 missiles, there are many high-rise buildings in the area where they are now. Even they just moved from 2 40-story buildings to go through the middle of the building. Inside each of these high-rise buildings, there may be tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of zombies hidden, waiting for them to enter their encirclement. Are you sure? Tang Haoshan has never seen the mutated corpse king, so he is still doubtful. Although it seems that Lu Feng and the others have accepted Doomsday's idea, no matter what, the fact that zombies ambush living people still makes Tang Haoshan a little difficult. Accept it? Do you need to learn some tactics in order to fight zombies in the future? Thinking of this, Tang Haoshan also opened his mind. A picture appeared in front of his eyes. He and a zombie were riding towards each other on horseback. Behind him was a group of human troops. Behind the zombie was naturally a large group of zombies. When they got closer, he raised the big knife in his hand, pointed at the zombies opposite, and shouted loudly, "I hope that the base guarding Legion Tang Haoshan and his undead and nameless corpses will be named." The zombies on the opposite side laughed loudly, "Ha ha 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 ha. I am XX Corpse under XX Corpse King, phew. That man. You fell into my family's military corpse plan. Why don't you dismount and die immediately? What if you surrender? I can also consider leaving a whole body of you to make you more delicious." Duanlei naturally didn't know Tang Haoshan's random thoughts, but he did not see the ambush he was thinking of. He just shook his head, "Not sure. It's just that I don't dare to take risks. If there is an ambush and we don't have a good formation, I'm afraid we may not be able to go back. This is not easy. Brother Lei, wait. I'll try it," a voice sounded from behind. Duanlei didn't even need to look back. He knew it was the kid Taizu and shouted quickly, "Don't go. Joke. Even if you want to try, you can't let Taizu go. You said there was an ambush in the building, this guy probably dared to walk in and look for it." "I'll go," Lu Feng said, and then he was about to leave. Duanlei stretched out his hand to stop her. "You can't do it either." Then, Duanlei looked at Lu Wanting and Zhang Xiu, "Ting ting. You and Xiu go. You guys are fast." Then, he took out 2 grenades from a guard soldier and threw them to Lu Wanting. "Don't go in, just throw these 2 into the building. Throw them on 2 floors." After receiving the grenade, Lu Wanting and Zhang Xiu each took a grenade and ran towards the 2 high-rise buildings that the convoy had just passed. After seeing that the distance was almost the same, they directly pulled the handle of the grenade and started from the 2 buildings respectively. "Throw it in the window." After the grenades were thrown out, the 2 of them did not even look at the results, and directly retreated to Duanlei and his team. As soon as they returned to the defensive formation, the explosions of the 2 grenades were also heard. Bang! Bang! After the sound of 2 explosions, a large group of zombies poured out from the 2 buildings like a tide, swarming towards Duanlei and the others. Most of them were enhanced zombies. The zombies that also appeared on the top floors of the 2 buildings turned out to be mutated zombies. They crawled along the outer walls of the buildings as if they were walking on flat ground. However, the number of mutated zombies was only about 4 or 5. Nothing more. Seeing this situation, Li Gu breathed a sigh of relief. "It's okay. It's easy to deal with such a small number of zombies." Hearing Li Gu's words, Duanlei did not agree. He murmured, "That's enough. These 2 buildings are not the only ones next to us." Hearing Duanlei's words, the expressions of the people around him changed, and they quickly turned around to look. At this glance, everyone was stunned by the scene in front of them. Since the end of the world, it is estimated that no one has seen this kind of scene. Behind them, around them, and in almost all high-rise buildings, zombies are constantly pouring out, and mutated zombies are also breaking out of the windows and walking along the walls. Climbing down, it seemed as if countless streams were flowing out of these buildings, and all these streams were converging in the direction of their defensive formation. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 230. Millions of zombies kept pouring out, and hundreds of mutated zombies fell from the sky, with several mutated zombie kings mixed in. The scene looked extremely spectacular. However, Duanlei and the others are not in the mood to enjoy this rare scene now, because this is not a movie. These zombies are targeting them, and they just hope that the scene is as small as possible. "All defense," Lu Feng shouted loudly. He was the one who reacted the fastest. Tang Haoshan had never been to Haki City and had never seen such a large number of corpses. He was a little stunned for a while. The Guardian warriors reacted quickly and formed a 4-layer defense formation on top of the hurricane and the large truck, surrounding the evolvers in the center. 3 pale-faced bridge experts were stuffed into the hurricane carriage, which was now considered the safest place. Duanlei's expression was a little hesitant, because looking at the scene in front of him, Du Enlai knew that the zombie tide in Haki City must have changed. Maybe what he had been worried about before finally happened, and there was still a zombie who finished it. That step was taken to unify the entire zombie tide. Otherwise, the situation in front of him is impossible to happen, and the zombie that unified the entire zombie tide has not yet appeared, but just looking at the number of zombies in front of him, Du Enlai knew that they would not be able to withstand the attack of so many zombies. Not to mention the number of ordinary zombies and enhanced zombies, the hundreds of mutant zombies alone are enough to pose a threat to them, not to mention that there are also several mutant zombie kings of unknown strength who are also in the attack queue. Du Enlai now has two choices. First, no matter how many there are, rely on the defense formation that has been formed to resist. After all, the zombie tide is not endless, and this time they brought enough ammunition. As long as they can kill those mutated zombies, it is still possible to block the attack of the zombie tide, but if they choose this path, if they fail, their entire army will be annihilated. The other option, which is much safer, is to enter the hurricane immediately and rush out at full speed before the zombie wave is around. However, in addition to the core members of the Hope base, there are also 2,000 Guardian warriors present. The hurricane, it is impossible to accommodate so many people. Once this path is chosen, at least 1,000 Guardian warriors will be abandoned here. Du Enlai couldn't make a decision at all. Looking at the rapidly gathering zombie tide, if he didn't make a choice, they would have no chance to break out even if they wanted to break out of the encirclement. Taking a deep breath, Du Enlai loudly spoke out the two ways he thought of. Everyone present, including the Guardian warriors who formed the defense circle, heard Du Enlai's words. Knowing that half of their brothers might be abandoned, the Guardian warriors still didn't say anything. They neither asked everyone to stay together, nor actively asked to stay to attract zombies and let the core personnel escape, because they were warriors and soldiers. No matter what decision is made above, they just have to carry out the order. Looking at the 2,000 Guardian soldiers who seemed to have not heard anything and were still arranged in formation without any confusion, Tang Haoshan suddenly laughed, "Ha ha ha ha. You can choose whatever you want. I won't leave anyway, so I will leave my companions leave it alone and run away. I can't do this. The whole army is ready. Kill these sons of bitches." Lu Feng did not express his position, but the order he issued proved that his choice was exactly the same as Tang Haoshan. If you want to break out, hurry into the hurricane. We will help you attract the attention of the zombies, Lu Qiang shouted. Don't be embarrassed. Be reserved now, and don't blame anyone if you can't leave for a while. He he. Brother Feng is dead. What am I doing out there? The only one who could still laugh at this moment was Taizu, a heartless and silly boy. Being able to fight with such a person makes my death worthwhile. Meng Fei sighed. Are there enough places left? I want one. How many times have I told you? Just ask for two. Li Gu was furious. Why doesn't this old guy like Meng Fei have a long memory at such an old age? No one else spoke, but they were all ready for battle. No one was willing to run into the hurricane. Looking at the people in front of him, Du Enlai suddenly burst out laughing, because the haze in his heart caused by Wang Feng's death had dissipated without a trace at this moment. As if they were infected, Tang Haoshan, Lu Qiang, Lu Feng, all of them burst into hearty laughter one after another. Even Lu Wanting and Zhang Xia were no exception. Even the Guardian soldiers looked at each other around them. Comrade in arms, a proud smile appeared on the corner of your mouth. The zombie tide in front of them is closing in, but in the eyes of everyone, it is no longer so scary. Maybe they can't resist such a huge zombie tide, maybe they will eventually annihilate the whole army, but what does it matter? I am not alone. In battle, they are not facing death alone. They are surrounded by their brothers who share life and death. Li Tianxiang listened to everyone's laughter in a daze. At this moment, he seemed to understand a lot, but he seemed to understand nothing, but soon he also laughed. It didn't matter whether he understood or not. At least, Li Tianxiang knew that if when he really dies in battle, the last expression he leaves to this world will definitely not be regret, or resentment. On the top of a building 2 kilometers away from Duanlei and his team, stood a 3-meter tall skeleton, with red light flashing in its eyes and 2 soul fires jumping. Behind it, there were 2 mutant corpse kings. It looked quietly in the direction of Duanlei and his team without any movement, and the 2 mutant corpse kings behind it stood there motionless like good babies. Whenever they looked at the back of the skeleton, fear would flash across their eyes. Duanlei's guess was correct. There was indeed a zombie who became the new leader of this group of corpses. It was this mutant skeleton. It was the leader of the group of corpses that first fought with Wang Feng and others, and it was also the mutant corpse king who led more than 40 mutant zombies to stop Duanlei and others. After the mutant corpse king advanced again, it became an alienated zombie. Unlike the zombies before the mutant corpse king, those zombies were of the same level, and their basic forms were similar, with only some differences in appearance. But when it comes to the alienated zombies, according to the characteristics of this alienated mutant corpse king, many different types and even forms of life forms will be produced. For example, this mutant corpse king, after it advanced, it shed all its flesh and blood and turned into a skeleton. Now it has almost no weaknesses. Even if the head is pierced, it will not die. As long as its soul fire is not extinguished, it is equivalent to immortality. It has to thank Xiao Wu for its advancement to the alienated zombie. In order to rescue Duanlei and his team, Xiao Wu reached an agreement with this mutant corpse king, that is, Xiao Wu would help this mutant corpse king to hunt another mutant corpse king. This was the most important reason why the mutant corpse king was willing to leave with those mutant zombies. Although Xiao Wu is very powerful, he has not yet reached the level of being able to crush the entire zombie tide with his own strength. Naturally, it is impossible to rely on threats to make the mutant zombies retreat obediently. Moreover, Xiao Wu is not Duanlei. He does not know what terrible consequences will result from becoming a mutant corpse king. He only knows that he wants to successfully lead Lu Wanting and others out of the sea of corpses. Therefore, he agreed to the mutant corpse king and helped it hunt other mutant corpse kings to advance. Xiao Wu later fulfilled his promise and successfully killed a mutant corpse king in the corpse group. Afterwards, Xiao Wu, Qianqian and Qingxun left the corpse group. Before leaving, he also took away 4 mutant zombies, which Xiao Wu was going to prepare for Qianqian and Qingxun to advance in the future. The mutant corpse king who got the benefit just wanted to absorb his spoils as soon as possible, and of course he didn't care about these mutant zombies, and agreed to Xiao Wu very happily. After Xiao Wu and the others left, the mutant corpse king absorbed all the bodies of the mutant corpse king hunted by Xiao Wu, and successfully advanced to become a more powerful mutant skeleton. After becoming a mutant skeleton, its intelligence was improved again, and soon all the zombies in Haki City were taken under its command. During this process, it killed another mutant corpse king and absorbed it into its body, but it found that although the mutant corpse king could still increase its strength, the extent was limited. Moreover, in order to control more than 10 million zombies in Haki City, it must rely on the mutant zombie king to help it. It controls the mutant zombie king controls the mutant zombies, and the mutant zombies control the enhanced zombies and ordinary wanderers. This is the hierarchy among zombies. If it kills all the mutant zombie kings, then the zombies below will become free zombies and no longer be controlled by it, because although it can also control the mutant zombies, and then the mutant zombies control other zombies, but in this way, the zombie tide it controls will be greatly reduced, and it is far less flexible than controlling the zombie king. After becoming a mutant skeleton, it brought all the mutant zombie kings into a building, and even hid most of the mutant zombies, because in its consciousness, it seems that those humans who have a grudge against it will come back. The mutant skeleton hates humans. Although it also has its own consciousness, it is different from Xiao, Qianqian, and Qingxun. Its consciousness is generated autonomously after becoming a zombie and as its level is upgraded. That is to say, its consciousness is still the consciousness of a zombie. It does not know that it was a human before, and it has no previous memory. Xiao Wu and his friends retain their previous human consciousness, which was equivalent to the consciousness awakened again after becoming zombies. In Xiao Wu and his friends' subconscious, they still regarded themselves as humans, which was completely different from the consciousness generated by zombies themselves. When the mutant skeleton found that Tang Haoshan and his friends came and left, it seemed to know that they would come back, and directly collected a large number of wanderers and all the enhanced zombies and mutant zombies into a building in an area, because in its memory, it seemed that if these humans were surrounded in the middle, they would be easier to deal with. However, the zombies had not learned any military tactics, and they did not know Duan Lei and his friends' goals, so they just randomly chose an area to hide their zombie army.